Hello again and welcome back. We're going to continue our discussion of web components. And in our previous video, we talked about attributes. And what we did is we added a couple methods to our component class, right, that look for attributes and handle changes to those attributes. So what we did is we added this static get observed attributes, and this has the name or a list of names of attributes that we are concerned with and want our code to observe. And then we also added the attribute changed callback to handle changes to those attributes. Okay? So when this attribute is changed, then we'll handle it down here. And I left you with the challenge, right, of setting the time here to control the time of the ticking or the time of the blinking, right? So what I've done is I've written in my attributes here, time of 1000 and time of 2000 here, okay? And what I want to do now is I want to use those to control the speed of the ticking and the speed of the blinking, right? So let's try that here. So remember, we're going to have to stop our timer by clearing the interval and then start the timer again here. So how are we going to do that? Well, this code right here, stopping the timer and starting the timer, actually is code that we've already written down here. So since we were going to be using it here and up here, then we should probably move it to its own function, right, or its own method. So I'm going to move down here to the bottom of my class, and I'm going to add a start timer method, and then I'm going to add a stop timer method. Okay? And I'll just take this code here and move it into start timer, and then we can say this dot start timer, and then I can take this clear interval right here and say this dot stop timer, and I'll move that down to the bottom here. And so when I do that, then I should still have the same functionality that we had before, right? So if I observe my web component here, you can see that it's still working, right? Okay, so now up here, let's try and handle this. So I'm going to get rid of these console log messages here. So I'm in the attribute changed callback, and what I want to do is I want to clear my interval. So we'll say this dot stop timer, and then I want to start the timer again. Okay, so I'm going to say this dot start timer. And so that should hopefully work there, but I still need to do one other thing here, right? I need to use the new value because that will be the value of the time, right? So I want to change the timing using this value, right? And currently I have the timing set, it's kind of hard coded in here, right? So we need to somehow get a variable in there. And we could do it a couple ways. We could pass the variable as a parameter, or we could store the variable on this as a property. So I'm going to use the second method here. So before we call start the timer, I'm going to say this dot time. I'm going to use the underscore. And timer is a reference to our timer, but time will be the length of time. So timer and time are different, right? I'm going to say time is equal to the new value. And note that attributes will always, the values will always come in as a string, if I recall. So we might need to convert this to a number. So just keep that in mind. Like we might, even though we typed a number into the attribute up here, it'll always recognize it as a string. So I think this will work anyway. JavaScript will probably convert it for us, but if there's some problem there, we may need to convert that to a string. So just keep that in mind. So now we've got our time variable there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this 2000 in start timer with this dot time. Oops, wait, I got to put a dot in there. There we go, right? Okay, and let's run it and see what happens there. Seems like it's kind of working, right? Let's try something now. I'm going to go to my console here. Wait, I'm going to go to my elements, and let's try and change the time here. So maybe I want to do this at 200 milliseconds. So it's going pretty fast. What if I change it to 2000 again? Oh, notice it's kind of working, but it looks like it's running kind of twice. You kind of see that? It's like tick, 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 right? Okay. And I think what's happening is the timer's running twice there. And let's test this out, right? So I'm gonna put a console log in here, and I'm gonna put in start timer, and then I'm gonna put a console log down here that says stop timer. And then let's see if we can observe what's happening here, right? So when I refresh the page, you can see it said stop timer, start timer, start timer. It did start timer twice. So that's kind of potentially a problem, right? So what I think is happening is we're getting the attribute changed callback and the connected callback at the same time. So I get both of these when the component initializes, when the browser sees it for the first time. And then it'll only get this one when the attribute changed. So you can see it says stop timer, start timer, start timer. And if I go to elements here and I choose, like I change this to 200, when I go back to the console there, you can see it said stop timer, start timer, start timer, and then it stopped the timer and then started it again. And so that was the correct behavior. Should have done this one and then the other one, right? But here where it did start timer twice, that's kind of a problem. So I think we can fix that by just removing this, right? So if I remove that call on connected callback, then just the initial, setting of the attribute can handle starting the timer for us the first time, okay? So let's try that and see if it works. So my timer is running on a 2-second interval right now, right? So I think that looks pretty good. Let's go to elements here and make it a little bit faster. I'm going to make it a 200 millisecond timer, and now you can see it's running pretty good there. And let's go to our console log. So yeah, it looks like it just did that once. So I think that's pretty good. So let's stop there, and if you solve the challenges the first time, good for you. Feel free to modify this and improve your code. I would recommend let's move the classes to their own files and then import those files here. If you had trouble getting one of these working in the first time, fix it. Follow my example here, and then you apply the same code and logic to the blink tag. So I didn't solve that one, but I'm going to leave that one for you to solve. Okay, so that's my challenge that I'm going to leave you with here. And then again, as always, thanks for watching. Have a great afternoon, and good luck with your projects, okay? And we'll cover more in the future video. So we're slowly building our knowledge of web components, and we're going to build some more interesting web components coming up, okay? So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.